Kia ora, welcome to Kordia Chats. I'm Matt Patterson, your host for today's episode, and with me is Alaina Hall from Arqiva. Alaina, welcome. Welcome to New Zealand. So good to have you here.
Hi, Matt. Thank you for having us.
Hey, now you're the Director of Global Media at Arqiva, right? That must be quite an exciting role. Can you talk to us a little bit about what Arqiva does, the background, and what your role's about?
Yeah, of course. So Arqiva is a global broadcast technology provider with the UK at its core. We're responsible for linear broadcast and radio delivery in the UK, as well as we have a data delivery network for utility companies, gas, water, electric. And really what we've been able to do is we work with our tier one broadcast and content owners in the UK, and we deliver their content and process it to send out internationally. And with that in mind, they decided to create my function of the organization to take the products and flexibility through cloud and IP-based solutions and go and sell them internationally without those geographical limits, right? So I have a pretty cool job. I get to come to places like New Zealand and see firsthand how the things that your market is going through are similar to what I'm seeing in other markets and in the UK, and work with partners like Kordia.
I mean, it must be an exceedingly exciting role, because from what you've said and what you've shared, you go to places like the Middle East, different parts of Europe. It's got to be incredible seeing what's going on in those markets for you.
Yeah, I attend a lot of conferences, have a lot of conversations, and meet cool new people. And like I said, I think there are a lot of parallels between what we're seeing across the globe and broadcast and media and technology. And it's really about how do we come together and kind of figure out a way forward rather than thinking that, you know, New Zealand is directly competing with another market for eyeballs, where it's necessarily you're trying to serve your market and the people that you have here, but yet create international brands that are well known across the globe if Kiwis or other people are fans of that content elsewhere.
Now, talking about coming together, we've just talked about or announced that Kordia and Arqiva are in partnership, which is pretty great. And I want to ask you, what are the benefits of that partnership between Kordia and Arqiva for New Zealand broadcasters?
Arqiva and Kordia are actually two very like-minded companies, right? We both have a long history and legacy in the respective traditional broadcasts in both markets. And with Arqiva's investment over the past decade in these new products that I mentioned before, cloud IP-based solution, we've seen some success already internationally. And we think by working with a company like Kordia that is an innovation engine in itself, we can, correctly bring these products to the New Zealand market to help the customers that you guys have here.
Sounds like a perfect partnership. I guess we've got the history like you guys do in the UK. We've got the on-ground experience, and we've worked with the New Zealand broadcasters for years. But of course, you're bringing the innovation, which can really help media broadcasters in the New Zealand market. And I guess we'll dive into a little bit more about what some of those products and services can be in a little bit. But I've touched on some of the challenges that are facing New Zealand media broadcasters. I assume that there's similar challenges to what you're seeing in overseas markets, but are there comparable challenges? What can you tell us about what's happening overseas?
Overall, we know viewing habits are changing, and that changing in viewing habits leads to a shift in how advertisers are spending money with broadcasters on TV platforms. And this creates a need for efficiencies and evolve in these broadcasters or platforms, content owners, to evolve into using more flexible technology like cloud or IP-based solutions. And I think globally we've seen that hybrid delivery for broadcasts start to happen, while they still need to maximize reach, reliability, and add in that digital flexibility so that they can, again, reach their customers where they are.
Right. So talking about adaptability and thinking about the pressures that we've touched on the changes in the economic situation in New Zealand, the declining audiences, the need to have a really good quality of service for end users. How can New Zealand media broadcasters adapt to some of these pressures?
There's a few ways that we believe New Zealand broadcasters can adapt for the future. The first one is having a laser focus on viewing experience. So any innovation that you're making and changing the technology that backs the ultimate viewing experience for your end customer has to meet those needs, because today, customers have an expectation around having the same broadcast quality type viewing experience, even on a streaming platform or on their mobile app, right? And another way that they're going to do that is looking at hybrid delivery models. So how can we empower broadcasters to combine their traditional broadcast infrastructure with cloud and OTT delivery, giving them, again, that flexibility to reach audiences where they are, as well as empowering them to have a incredible speed to market by launching new channels, pop-up channels, regional channels in days, not in months or weeks. That agility is critical in responding to these audience trends. And the last one I would say is, in general, around future-proofing their infrastructure. You need modularity, data-driven tools, of course, AI. Broadcasters need to build infrastructure that can evolve with the times while adapt to those behavior and marketing shifts while still staying core, again, to that viewing experience.
I guess some of the key themes that you've mentioned really that are coming through: flexibility and adaptability, because nobody really knows what the next 6 or 12 months is going to look like. And that quality of experience for the end user, because at the end of the day, it's the end audience that is really important for broadcasters. It's the experience that they're getting. Otherwise, they're going to tune off or tune out or go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So thinking about some of those trends, thinking about some of the things you've just mentioned, what are some of the specific things that Arqiva is developing and working with Kordia to bring to the New Zealand market?
One that we're most proud of, which is a recent launch, is around our Playout product, which is a cloud-enabled Playout solution for broadcasters that really focuses on flexibility and scalability. And we built this with keeping those broadcasters in mind who don't want to commit to a big, long contract with a bunch of bells and whistles when they might not need all of that. Going forward, they don't have that predictability into the future or visibility into the future. So this product enables rapid deployment. We can allow pop-up channels quickly, and ultimately it is done in a way where you can only pay what you use, instead of, again, those big commitments that are kind of a burden on broadcasters right now when there's a lot of uncertainty into what the future may look like. The last thing I'll say about Playout is we have an outcome-based service model where you can take a little bit or a lot of our managed service, depending on what your needs is. If you want to own and operate and you just want us to hold the lease, or if you want us to lean in and do that white glove, we can do that. Our platform provides more predictability about forward-looking scheduling, which gives ability to spot issues quickly and make changes so that, it's a more flexible way of doing Playout rather than having, a ton of eyes on glass in the moment.
Great. Now, you've got another product that we've haven't touched on yet called Arqade, which to me leans into Arqiva's network globally. You've got hundreds of points of presence around the globe, and the network that you've got really does allow for seamless content distribution. I'm just wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about Arqade and the benefits of it.
So the reason why it's called Arqade is because it's our storefront, right? People come to the arcade because they want to see everything that they can buy.
I didn't know that. That's great. It's interesting when you think about the names of products and you don't have the background to it, and then you provide that answer. That's great.
Yes, but ARQ, like Arqiva, not the traditional spelling of arcade. Really what it is a cloud-based content interchange platform. What that really means is allowing customers to come in and pick up the content that they need, or content owners to have availability and accessibility of their content in the platform for their takers to come pick it up. And with that product, we not only focus on 24/7 channels, but we have a huge focus on sports and live events.
You're already working with a key New Zealand sports organisation that we met last night. NZR Plus use Arqade, don't they, and have done for the last few months, and to some great success. And they talked how they really enjoyed using the Arqade system. So do you see that that's where this use case is for, say, New Zealand sporting organisations in New Zealand as well?
Yeah, we're distributing now hundreds of sports events per month. And where we really see the opportunity, especially in New Zealand, is bringing more sport from international owners down here and taking exclusive content and bringing it to other markets that are keen to see those games on their platform.
Great. Well, we're a sporting nation, so any further access to sport that we can get, then the New Zealand public would love that. The other product service that we haven't touched on yet is streaming optimisation. And I think we've all had particularly bad streaming experiences with buffering and the like, especially given now where you can literally pick up your phone and look at content streamed through your mobile device. But can you tell us a little bit about how streaming optimisation works?
Yeah, streaming optimization is ultimately an AI-powered peer-to-peer network that you can tap into in peak live events. So ultimately what it does is it puts the end user experience as a first-class citizen in the route it takes to deliver the content in partnership with the CDN. So whether it essentially creates a tree of users where they can peer off of each other to ultimately get that best in user experience during peak times where maybe the CDN is maxed out. And really, again, what this technology does is reducing buffering, improving quality, and giving a better experience overall, which will reduce churn in users and have higher engagement for your streaming.
Streaming optimization is brilliant because it does provide a better end user experience in terms of what you're saying. However, it also provides insights to broadcasters, doesn't it? Because it gives them a view on what's going on in terms of data and analytics and analysis of how people are streaming. Can you talk a little bit more about the analysis side of things?
In the platform during any live event, a broadcaster can tap in to see what is exactly happening in the peer-to-peer network when it's being leveraged. So how the trees of peers connecting on each other to watch this content is being created, in what regions, what experience they're having, buffering, quality, all of those things. And it's all real-time data. So you can kind of watch it like your own live stream. And really why that is important is getting back to making sure that, the experience is optimal to lower churn and have higher engagement. Because as we know, end users do have an expectation around broadcast quality viewing, but in a streaming platform. So we have to make sure that we still deliver on those expectations.
Brilliant. Now, you've touched on future-proofing and the importance of future-proofing. So what are the opportunities for broadcasters to future-proof themselves while still serving diverse audiences?
So we do still believe that broadcasts and traditional broadcasts will remain the backbone of how to reach, the national audience. It's still the most reliable and cost-effective way, especially in moments of national importance, live events, emergencies, things like that. So, when we look at New Zealand and the geographic diversity and infrastructure gaps, means that broadcast still remains essential, right? But we will help evolve into a hybrid model. The future isn't broadcast or streaming, it's broadcast plus IP or streaming. We're already seeing broadcasters using this hybrid delivery models today, and they maintain the reach while adding flexibility and personalization into their workflows. So that's something that we'll be focused on together in this market, as well as, not everyone today has access to high-speed internet or streaming subscriptions. And free-to-air broadcast still plays a critical role in ensuring inclusive access to news, education, entertainment. So, we'll work on keeping that at its core to reach those audiences while adding in that digital flexibility to making sure that we're reaching people where they are.
It's an exciting future for New Zealand with all of these on offer. And it's quite exciting to see them roll out and develop as they're coming into market. If you could give broadcasters one piece of advice about adapting to future market conditions in New Zealand, given your global experience and what you've seen globally, what would that advice be?
Don't wait. Be curious. Think about the future is now, right? With AI being, that technology being integrated in how we're going to do everything in our lives. We need to kind of lead the change in these organizations while starting small, testing things, learning. Then you start to scale with trusted partners like a Kordia, like Arqiva, to really future-proof yourself, I think would be my advice.
Do you think broadcasters are being curious enough?
Probably not. I think that they are inherently curious, and there's a lot of really smart people in these organizations that want to future-proof their business because they're generally interested in that. But they are bound by a bunch of, old legacy infrastructure that they have to sweat those assets. They have to work out how they're going to refresh them. What does that look like? They've got, scaled up engineering teams that are very talented and, might have a skill set towards one thing, and they need to scale up those people to learn some other new things. There's a lot to do, which can be cumbersome when thinking about how to future-proof your business. But I do think that at its core, people are still curious and interested and want to future-proof. They're just trying to figure out the how.
Very good. Very well said too. Alaina, it's been great to have you here. Really appreciate you coming all this way to come and join us here in New Zealand. Again, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Matt.